burst of energy and anticipation, and here they come.
As this season's college football journey began, expectations were high in Eugene. Led by the nation's most dynamic quarterback,
Mariota with a circus play.
An underappreciated but dominant defense.
Oh, it's intercepted! Are you kidding me?
And a freshman phenom in the backfield.
Into the end zone, Royce Freeman.
The Oregon faithful dared to dream of great things. On a Thursday night in early October, the season appeared all but shattered.
They stripped the ball from Marcus Mariota, and the Wildcats will celebrate.
As the dominoes of the college football world fell, hope in the Pacific Northwest began to rise.
Holy mackerel!
The Ducks starting to pour it on now. After slaying their nemesis of the last two seasons, the Ducks are back in control of their destiny.
Ball game! Fans began to enjoy it.
Colorado is the first of a handful of teams that stand in the way of Oregon's first national championship and a dream realized.
Yeah, the immediate picture today for Oregon senior football players, and maybe some who aren't seniors, this will be the last time they run onto the field at Autzen Stadium. The big story, Glenn Parker, is there's a lot at stake. It's a conference game for Oregon, but not really. They already know they're going to play for the Pac-12 championship. This is about the national picture.
Yeah, come out, make a statement. Make it now, make it emphatically, and tell everybody in the country just who you are as a team.
And, of course, to continue for that man who is certainly one of the, if not the front runner for the Heisman.
Yeah, a quality player and person. Coaches love him, teammates love him. You get to know the kid. More impressive on the field is when you get off the field and you talk to him. More impressive human being than he is a football player, and that's saying something with as good as his numbers are and as well as he's played.
Well, we're glad to have you with us in Eugene. We'll be checking with Jill Savage on the sideline. As always, they're filing into Phil Autzen. Rain this morning. Right now, though, it's dry. There are some clouds overhead, but been dry for the last couple of hours. Oregon won the toss and elected to receive the opening kick. On right now, what is a decent November afternoon. We'll hope it stays this way. Now Colorado lining up with the two kickers, and they try an onside to start the game. And after a couple of muffs, look at the ball. A massive scrum, and Colorado seems to have it. So Colorado coming out, and Nelson Spruce, their standout receiver, eventually secures this ball.
If you want to win a big game, you come out with your tricks and your gadgets early. That shows a lot of confidence. Coach Mike McIntyre dialing up something special early on.
Well, that just means that Oregon's defense will get the charge here, and the Autzen crowd reacting. But yeah, if you're Colorado, and we'll get into the story, Colorado is beaten up. They're undermanned. This is the first college start for Jordan Gerke, sophomore from Scottsdale. He has played in relief of Sefo Lufau a couple of times. But the first time he starts against the number 2 team in the country. Tony Jones will start as the new. Michael Adkins is not here, did not make the trip with Colorado, but Sefo Lufau, by the way, is medically cleared to play today. He got through the concussion protocol midweek. He is medically cleared. It's expected he will play, but Mike McIntyre decided, because of the preparation situation, to start Gerke.
Tough place to start your first college game, as loud as Autzen can be.
Only 3 down for Oregon. And Gerke, well, that was, Hill was just sitting there ready to jump that route for Spruce.
There's Sefo Lufau on the sidelines, number 13. Gerke stayed on his receiver the entire time, even with the pump. He rolled, he stayed his eyes right on the receiver. lucky for him he overthrew the ball, because if it had been anywhere close, it might have been picked, as you said.
And I know all the Oregon fans are just killing me right now for saying that. It was dry. Look at it now. The clouds have opened. I've been here enough. I should have known better. 3rd and 8. And the challenge for Jordan Gerke, trying to change things, snap the ball in time against this crowd and the roar, and he can't do it.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
And you see Gerke pointing to the ears, showing the problem.
And here's the previous play. You see the little read with the pair, and it's played well. So now he keeps his eyes on that defender. That ball's up. If that ball's well thrown, they're in trouble. It's a pick six by Troy Hill.
Exactly.
He's got to be very careful with his eyes.
So Gerke and Mike McIntyre talking to us about it told, and I think Colorado fans have seen this, a little more mobile than Luthout, gives them that dimension, but of course not experienced, and now having to deal with this environment.
Please reset the game clock to 14:04.
All right, this stoppage was to reset the game clock. Mike McIntyre spent a lot of this week, you see him there talking to the officials, but he spent a lot of this week trying to patch together defensive side of the ball because of injuries that have just shredded CU, and we'll dive a little bit more into that when Oregon possesses. Having trouble here getting the Autzen scoreboard. Now they have it finally ready. The game time ready on the long third for Colorado. Gerke keeps. Oregon's not fooled. Oregon's defense there. It's Tony Washington staying with Gerke, and so the Ducks defense does not let CU do any damage after recovering the onside kick.
Colorado seized the momentum right at the start and couldn't capitalize on it. Now they've got to find out a way to play a little bit of field position.
All right, so Dara O'Neal will punt. Charles Nelson, he's run 2 back this year. See Colorado's punt formation spread very wide. 3 back. But Oregon does not rush the punter, and O'Neal hits a line drive. Nelson's going to have a chance to run this. And he does get it out, a little over a 10-yard return. So Oregon's first drive will start from their own 32 as Marcus Mariota prepares to lead the offense on the field. Of course, Marcus Mariota in football eligibility is still a junior. He hasn't declared. He didn't take part in the senior day festivities before the game. All of that's proper, but there is no one, I think, on planet Earth that expects Marcus to pass up the chance to go to the pros.
Not if he's as high a pick as people are thinking right now, that's for certain.
And they're going to start with Devin Allen on the end around. And the speedster got space and drives it all the way across midfield. 21 yards on the first play.
So right away, Mark Helfrich, Scott Frost, they said, we got gadgets too. We can throw something at you. A little reverse, you get your speedster out there. And if he's a more instinctive runner and sets up his blocks, he has a chance for a much bigger gain.
And here's more speed. And Mariota, again, using the wide side of the field to his advantage. John Walker finally coming up to make the play from the Buffs secondary. So now the challenge for Colorado with so many new faces, walk-ons now playing in their secondary to face this Oregon offense at the warp speed. As Royce Freeman is tackled up. And the first challenge I think of, Glenn, is how many times we've had opposing coaches tell us that the biggest challenge defensively against Oregon is simply getting lined up. Just simply getting lined up.
Yeah, I think you're right, and that's the problem they all talk about. So they make their defenses more basic because of it.
First throw, Mariota's looking for the big ball. And instead trying to come back to the sideline, but airmailed it out of bounds for third down. Well, it is just in the last 2-3 minutes started raining here in Eugene. Colorado opened the game by recovering an onside kick. The kick was literally batted around the field and pushed cover. They could not get a first down. They punted, and Oregon quickly has moved the ball to the CU 35 on a third down. Mariota gets away from Addison Gillum. And the Mariota speed got him to the edge, got him close, but he's going to be just short.
And he took a pretty good shot. You see his speed and his smooth. He's got a glide to him when he runs. But here comes a pretty good hit. He kind of turned his face mask right a little bit.
And no surprise to anybody that knows the Ducks. 4th and 1, and the Ducks will line up and go for it. And look to throw for it. And an easy throw to Allen.
This is the former play. And here comes the hit. One on the side, but that actually pulls his helmet up away a little bit. And they got that ball knocked out a little bit. But he popped right up.
Now it's been quite a 6 weeks for Mark Helfrich and Oregon. So many questions. And they regrouped. Mark Helfrich has openly talked about how it started with practices after that loss, and here they are. And that one skips right through the hands of Evan Bayless, a Coloradan who's stepping in today after the injury to Farrell Brown.
A little water. As you said, it just started raining. So they didn't practice up in it to start the game, but they're Ducks. I think they're used to a little water. Got to come down with that ball.
Look at that. Easy for Royce Freeman. And his 15th rush touchdown of the season.
Well, you pull, you bring your center and your left guard. That's Brenner and Stevens. Big bodies, and what a great block by Brenner on Ken Crawley, the DB. That's unfair. That's a 305-pounder blocking 180 pounds out there. Royce Freeman is a load.
And now Oregon spreading wide. And Taylor Alley taking the snap and trying to throw for 2, but receiver slipped. Receiver slipped in the end zone, and so that is a failed attempt at 2, but it is Royce Freeman, the brilliant freshman running back, closing in on 1,000 yards. Gets the Ducks the lead. That's part of the Senior Day festivities. Families included. All of that took place about 15 minutes before kickoff. Since kickoff, Oregon has scored first. A touchdown, failed conversion, going for 2. And with more on this Senior Day atmosphere in Eugene, down to the field, and Jill Savage.
Well, we talked to Mark Helfrich yesterday, and I know Marcus Mariota isn't a senior, but this could very well be his last game inside Autzen Stadium. We asked Helfrich, what does Marcus mean to this team? He said it's so hard to put it into words, but he said the one thing that they do every game, they meet in the tunnel, they hug each other, they tell each other that they love him, but this is where Marcus is a little different. He thanks Coach Helfrich for the opportunity to come out here and play before every single game, Ted.
And of course, Mark Helfrich was the offensive coordinator that recruited Mariota here. As Jordan Gerke making his first college start. Swings it out to Tony Jones for a good first down.
Smart play. You want to get Gerke comfortable with the ball. You want to have him comfortable throwing. Give him things that he can complete fast, get a few yards, get ahead of the sticks, so you're not putting it all on his shoulders with this crowd early on.
Jordan Gerke, Scottsdale Community College, before signing on to play at Colorado. And he's had a couple of relief stints. And 2 weeks ago, when Lufau was knocked out with a concussion, Gerke played much of the second half in Arizona. And they're trying to keep it going against the grain. Wasn't going to fool anybody, as our difference makers presented by AXA.
Well, for Colorado, Nelson Spruce, you got to find ways to get the ball into his hands. And Didi Goodson on the other side, because of the how much attention will be paid to Nelson Spruce. You need someone else to come through, and on the defense, Tony Washington's already come up with one big play. Eric Dargan, the safety. Keep Spruce in your eyesights. Stop him from getting anything done. You stop this Colorado offense.
Spruce at the very bottom of your picture. Troy Hill of Oregon matched up. Screen set up. And Jones is a big man out there blocking, and Jones is going to get the first Colorado first down.
Yeah, it hit big Daniel Munyer out there on the screen. And people don't understand the screen game is a tough thing to get used to. Now, you have your count, now you release. Now, see, that guard, Daniel Munyer, he needs to know, is it man or is it zone? And when he sees it zone, he takes off for the second guy. You start going for that corner, and great job setting up the blocks and making the play. Tony Jones runs that well.
And that was the very thing I asked Mike McIntyre how he approaches playing the Oregon offense. As Gerke airmails went out of bounds with a flag.
Ball was in the air, and he was being contacted by the defender.
D.D. Goodson was the receiver.
Tarodny Prevost was the defender, and he had his hands touching the receiver and pushing him out of bounds while the ball was in the air.
All right, so you see the signal, meaning the ball is going to be judged uncatchable.
There's no foul for defensive pass interference. The pass was ruled uncatchable.
Now, I want to know how they can decide that. I understand that it's way over his head, but maybe if he wasn't getting pushed, he could jump. There's some good athletes
Well, it's
out
a judgment, just like the
That's
pass
right.
interference is a judgment.
Bottom
right?
of the screen, you see
Yeah.
D.D. Goodson get pushed out while the ball's in the air. The call was the correct one on both counts. It was interference,
Yes.
and it was uncatchable.
Yes. Philip Lindsay now, the running back for the Buffaloes. And a little bit of a lead throw there that can't be caught by Donovan Lee. As we look at Keys to the Game, brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors, who invites you to find your own lane.
Well, Colorado needed to score first and score a lot. They did a great job with the onside kick. Couldn't make anything happen. And they got to steal some chances. They stole a chance with that onside kick. They've got to do some more. They've got to get some turnovers. Oregon, just get out and bury them. And defense, Oregon defense, look for your opportunities. They're going to be there. You're going to cause a lot of turnovers.
Now, Oregon stole a chance with the onside kick to start the game. They didn't take advantage, and now they face the challenge most teams do against Oregon, which is playing catch-up. Another screen, and Lindsey's going to get outside, and Lindsey does a nice job to cross midfield and give Colorado a second first down on this drive, which is the very thing Mike McIntyre said. I said, your defense is banged up. How do you play against the Oregon team? He goes, we have to get first downs.
Got to get first downs, and right here, a long way to go, but you run the screen, get big Stefan Numbot is out there, and just a great job of running by Philip Lindsay. You're your own best blocker as a running back, and particularly in the screen game where you got a big guy who's not used to being out in open space, you got to set him up. He does a nice job of that.
McGurkey has not gone to Spruce yet for a catch. That one's broken up. Troy Hill, second matchup. And here's how Colorado started the game. Oregon won the toss and chose to receive, and Colorado, and I don't know that this was a total shock, Glenn. What would you think?
Well, they weren't ready.
No,
they weren't ready in Colorado. And then, of course, the ball had grease on it or something, and it was nobody could grab a hold of it. And, of course, who did? Nelson Spruce.
Well, of all people, right? Unfortunately for Mike McIntyre, the Buffs couldn't take advantage of that. No first down after the recovery. Punted away. Oregon drove the field for the touchdown. Philip Lindsay. And Philip Lindsay breaks through and finally clipped down in the secondary, but another Colorado first down on a 13-yard gain. Before Eric Dargan makes a saving tackle.
Yeah, the Ducks not wrapping up. Just a good north-south run. Not enough defenders wrapping up. Everybody kind of just, I guess, assuming the other person was going to help out.
Now, Lindsay, who has had, in his first year playing for CU, has had some fumble issues, but also had a big game, 114 against Arizona. Trying to build on that. And Colorado has a drive here.
Well, you need to take it. With their screen game as effective it is, that opens a lot of these runs up. And take a page from Arizona's book. who's beaten Oregon twice in the last 2 years. Physical with them, north-south running. Negate that speed they have, because they have a speed advantage. You can negate it by running right at it.
And really the greatest example is what Stanford did the last 2 years. This year Oregon spun that back their way, and that's the win that really has them clinching the North title. Second down, 7. And another run, and that's a good one. Tony Jones drives that, or excuse me, that's Christian Powell's first carry. So the biggest CU running back, 230-pound Powell, gets it close to a first.
Well, a good change of pace. You know, you've been with the smaller backs, and now you bring in kind of a horse, and you let him run. And you know, he's dragging Tony Washington with him, getting those extra yards, the hard yards.
That's what CU has done this year. They've oftentimes just rotated 3 running backs. Philip Lindsay's now become the 3rd, with Michael Atkins not here today. CU needs a short 2. And Gerke won't get it. In fact, the thing he couldn't have happen. Gets hit for a loss by Joe Walker.
Joe Walker, great job of playing this. Nelson Spruce comes underneath and actually blocks for him. So you see the man underneath this Nelson Spruce. He's going to block a little because he's well covered. And it's too late. So well played by Joe Walker, and a great job tripping him up, getting him down. Take away the primary receiver from a young quarterback like that, it's tough for him to look and find that next guy.
So Joe Walker gets a sack, makes this a 46-yard field goal try by Will Oliver. And that one's going to be offline. And that's why the sack on 3rd down is what you can't have happen. Made that field goal more difficult. More of today's difference makers presented by AXA.
Well, for Colorado, Greg Henderson and Ken Crawley, the 2 corners, they've got to hold up on the perimeter and stop the run game. And for Oregon, Jake Fisher, obviously the big left tackle back, but Royce Freeman, how about this freshman? Here he is pulling behind Stevens and Brenner, getting the block downfield. Look at Stanford, the wide receiver blocking. He's bad enough when you have to try to tackle him. He's really good when you don't touch him.
And here he goes again. Now this time Colorado strings the run play out well. Doesn't let Freeman get through. Judah Parker keep flying down from the D line to make the big play for Colorado.
Yeah, Oregon never sets the edge because they don't set the edge. Backside pursuit of that line is there to make that tackle. Freeman's not a guy who scares you outside the way a LaMichael James did or a D'Anthony Thomas.
Short throw to the sideline, complete to Keenan Lowe. But I'm going to tell you, Glenn, I've thought this during the year. I think Freeman's the biggest difference maker in the conference this year.
No doubt about it.
The element he has brought to Oregon football.
Something, as an analyst, we've watched a ton of film. We always said they need to get back to north-south running, and that's what he brings them, a toughness inside.
And the other question that, as we get down near the end of the season, that I think has been fascinating, where big question before the year was, who was Oregon have Mariota throw the ball to after losing Huff and Thomas and the injury to Braylon Addison? And Devin Allen has emerged.
Devin Allen's emerged. Byron Marshall, a guy who was a running back, is now a slot, and he's a huge part of their offense.
And Freeman pushes the ball into Colorado territory. Let's see, of course, how it's spread for the touchdowns, including the basketball player, Jonathan Lloyd, who's played 1 season of football. Freeman is taken down. Good open field there by Smith, who's one of the veterans in the Colorado secondary. Starting at safety. The safety position is the one that's been decimated for CU. Mike McIntyre this week was using scout team players and walk-ons in practice at multiple positions to give them some depth today. They're starting a young man who's a walk-on, Ryan Moeller from Rifle, Colorado, and he is making his first college start. Now Mariota stepped up, looked like he got away, but persistence gets the sack for Jimmy Gilbert.
Jimmy Gilbert at defensive end going against Royce Freeman, the back. Freeman's going to cross read and come over. And you see him, because your guard moves out on the blitz, that leaves an end on a running back. That's a mistake. Big guys always try to take big guys.
And so this will be an Oregon punt now for midfield, unable to convert the third. Ian Wheeler. Fair catch, Spruce. Those short hands to catch the punt for Colorado. But, hey, listen, when you play at Autzen, when you stop the Ducks and force a punt, that's a win. This is the significance of today's game for Oregon. Today it's about this, staying number 2, staying in the top 4 that will play in the first ever playoff. There you see the 6 teams in the selection committee's top 25. That will be the new one to come out Tuesday. Philip Lindsay on the carry. The selection committee does meet. They meet in person in Dallas at the end of the weekend's plays, and then put the new list out there. And it's just a bizarre twist, Glenn, because we always focus conference. This is a conference game for Oregon, but it really doesn't have conference meaning.
Right, no conference meaning, but national meaning. People are paying attention, as we said. Oregon looking and needing to make an emphatic statement.
So Philip Lindsay stays on as the running back for Colorado. Garkey takes the shotgun snap from Alex Kelly. And Lindsay tackled after a short gain.
Rodney Prevost again on the defense. Nice job of wrapping up. He's made a couple of strong tackles already.
Well, here's one number that if you look at Oregon and you think about their national hopes, their third down defensive percentage is not impressive. Colorado completed a couple of thirds on their last possession. There they don't, though, and Troy Hill once again denies Spruce. That's the third time in the first quarter.
Spruce is finding a window to sit down in, but the ball isn't there on time, and your defense, with their eyes forward, can close. Really nice job right there, as you said, Troy Hill getting there, knocking that ball away. His eyes were sitting on Spruce when that ball came out of the quarterback's hands. Boy, did he close fast.
Well, Oregon's defense allowing its opponents almost 46% third down conversions, last in the conference. And that's a number that catches your attention.
It would concern me, yes.
Dara O'Neill hits the running rugby punt. And, well, diving on that ball is Nelson to cover it, so Oregon's going to have the ball just near midfield as our Pac-12 football triple header will continue on Pac-12 Networks tonight from Husky Stadium. Oregon State trying to win a 6th game and get bowl eligibility. The Huskies already have it and will be in Seattle at 7:30 tonight on the Pac-12 Networks. Dr. Pepper post-game report, as always, takes you to midnight. How many sugar packets is Rick going to have to get from 9 a.m. to midnight?
That's a good long day. They're earning their paycheck.
We got to make sure those voodoo donuts get to Yam and Rick in time. Mariota keeping it and cross midfield. So Oregon for the third time in this first quarter has the ball now in Colorado territory. Excuse me, that's Byron Marshall on the carry.
That's a gain of 5, 2nd down 5.
So Byron Marshall's first carry of the game. Gets his second, breaks Addison Gillum's attempted tackle, and then gets a couple to push Oregon down to the Colorado 46.
That play right there is a great example of what Jake Fisher brings since he's back in the lineup. That ball was cut behind his block. He's the left tackle. They started right, and they cut behind his block.
Mariota's gone. You give him that crease, nobody can catch him. A quarterback with absolutely blinding speed.
Blinding speed, deceptive. and a firm grasp of this offense. Jimmy Gilbert, the defensive end, closes, turns his shoulders. There is no contain at that point. You are not going to catch Marcus Mariota.
9th rush touchdown for Mariota. And now the Ducks will try to kick the point. They went for 2 on the first try. This is Matt Wogan kicking today. Very few times, Glenn, do you ever see a quarterback when you see just the slightest crease and you immediately know no one will catch him. That is the incredible weapon that Mariota brings with his legs.
Boy, and he does. What I love is how he runs north and south. There is no wasted movement.
Now, of course, there's also another national story today, and that is the Heisman, which has had so many close calls. This one was thievery. I'm sorry, that was utter thievery.
All Pac-12, Pac-10, Pac-12 close calls. Andrew Luck twice came in second, and I would think one of those was maybe a little thievery as well, but that's me. But how about Marcus Mariota? This year, possible? Adam Gordon, tell you what, did a great job with that one.
Yes. Well, Mariota, you realize the last 2 seasons, he has only thrown interceptions in 4 games. The last 2 years. Lindsey with a good return here. Not quite running out the quarter. And in Mariota's career, this is 3 full seasons as a starting quarterback. 36 games. He's only thrown an interception in 9 of the 36, but 5 of those were in his first season. The last 2 years, playing under this spotlight, these expectations, he's only thrown an interception 2 games last year, 2 games this year.
And that's why he's my Heisman Trophy candidate. You know, when the sun, when the lights get turned on, that's when cockroaches tend to flee, and that's when a lot of people tend to break down, and all he's done is play better. 29 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Incredible.
Last play of the first quarter is the first deep shot for Colorado, and that was going to Ifo Ekpreolomu. Well, Marcus Mariota, what we think's his final game in Autzen, leads his team to a 13-point first quarter lead. Like any tremendous player, Marcus Mariota's career can be measured in all kinds of numbers. There's lots of quantity numbers, but this is one, Glenn, that I really like because it shows you how he has not made mistakes. That ratio, and look at the names in there, great Bradfords and RG3 and Leinart and Newton. Great quarterbacks, and Mariota's atop that list. And a second down stack there of Powell. Buckner leading the charge for the Duck defense.
Well, the Duck defense can button it up a little tighter now until Jordan Gerke can prove that he can throw the ball down the field with any accuracy. They're going to be able to play the run much tougher.
Bryce Bobo spread very wide to the top of your screen for Colorado. Tony Jones, the back. Gerke gets the snap in time and the shovel ahead. And thankfully for Colorado, as Tony Washington hit Jones, Jones was able to hold that ball.
Yeah, gain of a yard, and it would have been an incomplete pass had he dropped it. But really well defended. That's so often rush ends go up the field, they don't think of the shovel, and that's how you catch him. And he held his ground, and beautiful tackle.
So O'Neal will punt once again for CU. Nelson to return it for Oregon. And O'Neal runs very wide to the right there before hitting the rugby punt. Look at that skip, and this one will work well. Of course, O'Neal is a switch punter, which I never knew existed. He can hit that punt with either leg. That time the right leg, and the kick carries it 62.
Welcome back inside Autzen. Autzen Stadium, where the Ducks lead the Buffaloes 13-0. It's getting towards the end of the regular season in college football. That holds true for volleyball as well. Joining me now, head coach Jim Moore of the Oregon Ducks. You have a big one coming up at 11 a.m. against USC on Sunday.
Yeah.
What's been the strength of your team so far this season?
Well, we were a really good offensive team earlier in the year. We struggled a little bit with that the month of October, but we're getting better at that, I think, a lot. We've been a very good floor defensive team as well, so we're getting better.
Everybody knows the Civil War in football is coming up. The Civil War in volleyball also coming up.
Civil War in volleyball, week from yesterday, Friday, next Friday, right at day after Thanksgiving. We're at Oregon State as well as football team, so we're excited about that.
Best of luck to you this season.
Thanks for having me.
Ted?
All right, Jill, and Royce Freeman with a sparkling first down run. As you see the remaining Oregon volleyball matches and the dates on Pac-12 networks. But Glenn, if you go back to the first, that's 3 straight runs by Freeman. The first run, to me, that's the difference maker. When Oregon gets backed up like that, they have a big back who broke 4 tackles to get him out of trouble.
He was stopped at the line of scrimmage and kept breaking tackles to get 8 yards.
And people who've watched the Ducks repeatedly this year have seen this. 4 or 5 different games this year where Oregon has been backed up. I remember one vividly here against Washington, and they can just turn and do this. Mariota just gives the ball to Freeman. Usually it's straight ahead, but here he gains a bunch out of a play that appears to be a nothing.
You've got to be okay getting 1, 2, 3 yards and not lose your patience.
There's a ball that's going to be caught along the sideline. Nice catch, and that's Dwayne Stanford, which will get a special acknowledgement here as Dwayne Stanford for this game has changed his number to honor his teammate Pharaoh Brown. Coming back now to Carrington. And that's into the 42-yard line now, so Oregon's punched it out from deep in their own territory.
Here's that previous catch. Watch the way he'll come back to this ball. He sees the scramble, he holds position, comes back. Nice job, Mariota, finding him there.
42.
And again, Pharaoh Brown, who went down with a significant injury 2 weeks ago in Utah. He's back now in the East and is home in Ohio, recuperating after surgery. And Dwayne Stanford honoring him by changing the number. Mariota to Marshall, but that one low. And Marshall had exactly what Oregon wants, to get a speed guy out in the field.
And one of the rare bad passes you'll see from Marcus Mariota. And that was just a mechanics, and the way he threw it, that ball got away from him a little bit.
And his percentage has gone back up this year, his completion percentage. And then there'll be a tack-on foul there as Keenan Lowe got hit after he crossed the sideline. He was in the boundary in the white, and he got hit by Moeller, and that'll be a 15-yard add-on.
Yeah, Moeller, safety, coming up, trying to make a big hit. Lets his emotion catch him. Instead of making the smart play, delivered a blow.
After the play, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, defense number 25. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
He'll get a good look here. Or maybe he won't.
Now, Mariota mentioned his percentage up to 67% this year. And now we'll use the legs to get out of bounds. And Glenn, the number we like to talk about, yards per attempt. His yards per attempt this year is up a full yard from last year, 10.2 per attempt, second best in the country.
And that yards per pass attempt is the winning stat. If you're over 7 yards, you're winning. To be at 10 is incredible.
So now inside the Colorado 20. And Keenan Lowe is inside the 10.
Keenan Lowe showing some moves out there. He set up as a blocker, then took off. When pressure came, it was a nice job, Mariota, designed to get him the ball in space, and the yardage he got after the catch.
And I mean, it continues to jar you as Freeman will get outside and he can walk this one in. How fast Oregon plays, how quickly they were to the line of scrimmage to snap that ball. And Royce Freeman has his second touchdown of the day and his 16th of his freshman year.
Mark Helfer, Scott Frost paying it off. He did all the dirty work at his end zone to get the ball out, pay it off at the end.
94 yards on the drive, 11 plays. It started with Freeman and it ended with Freeman. And Logan kicks through the 20th point.
Well, if there's a big difference in Oregon this year, it is that freshman right there, Royce Freeman. He started it off. They get the ball out here to Keenan Lowe, who makes some people miss. And since he started it off, you go back and you pay off your workhorse. Royce Freeman, ducks are rolling.
So Oregon now having extended themselves as they would have hoped to in this first half. And that drive was so impressive. A 94-yard march down the field. Philip Lindsay. Again, nice run back here to get Colorado close to the 30. Now let's get a game update from Mike Gamm in San Francisco. Well, Mike, thanks. We've taken note of that one here because obviously having watched Stanford last week, they've already put more yards up in the first half there in Berkeley today. David Shaw clearly had some offense. He was able to revive this week. Swing pass to Lindsay for a short gain. Of course, rivalries. This one is as good as any, the big game. It's the 1 week of the year where college football in Northern California really reigns.
The big game. And you see that Cal trying to become bowl eligible. Jared Goff, what a player he is.
If it doesn't happen today for Cal, we'll be there in Berkeley next Saturday. Cal hosts BYU, and that will be one of our games on Pac-12 networks. Colorado will be at home to close its season against Utah. That'll also be here on Pac-12 networks. Nice run. Lindsay into the secondary and dropped by Dargan just shy of midfield.
Nice tackle by Dargan out there. Lindsay hit that hard. It was designed, get the edge. They get the edge. Nice blocking up front with Irwin and Crab. Wide receivers helping out. Tell you what, Philip Lindsay, he's got a little burst.
Now he's got 5 carries for 37 in this first half. But the best offense so far for Colorado. Nelson Spruce has not caught a pass yet. Instead, Gerke tries to swing it to Jones low.
And that's the play that you have to make. They're giving him these throws so he can be comfortable. And he's not making the easy throw, so there's no confidence to go down the field with the ball.
Yeah, that magnifies there. Here we are, quarter and a half, and Spruce, he's been targeted 3 times. As you see Lufau with his helmet on, he is available to play. And that's the dangerous ball. Flag is down. That's actually going to be a catch. Caught his own tip, did Donovan Lee. There's also a flag down back where Gerke threw the pass.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 48. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So a catch, and then a roughing on Rodney Hardrick.
All the things that could happen to you as a defense. The ball, you're going to rough the passer, but this ball's just thrown too hard. And that is roughing. The ball was gone. He took 2 steps, but he throws the ball so hard, that's why it gets tipped up. But Lee, what a nice job of being patient and coming down with it.
See Reggie Daniels coming in there. That's the kind of ball that you just are waiting for it to wind up as an interception. Instead, Colorado's inside the 30. Lindsay can't turn the corner. He stopped for no gain. Joe Walker out there to lead the Oregon defense.
Another late flag comes in. Wonder if it was a late hit.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting number 86 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
30 yards in offense just off of the penalties alone for Colorado on this drive.
But Mike McIntyre benefits. Mark Helfrich and coordinator Don Pelham can't be happy. They just don't need that. If you're Oregon, why would you get anywhere near that kind of a penalty?
And I don't really understand taunting anyways. Who has the energy to do that out there? Walk back to the huddle. Get ready to play another one.
So Colorado now in the red zone for the first time, and they need to score. Obviously, they want a touchdown. Lindsey is bottled up. One of those people, Glenn, I think it's well known and obvious you can't beat Oregon kicking field goals. But if you're Colorado, you need to score points here just to get a 0 off the board.
Absolutely. You want to get something before half. Remember, you get the ball coming out.
There's something psychic to me about that, just to get a 0 off the board.
Yeah, get that goose egg out of there.
Look, they're 32.5-point underdogs, so everybody gets it. So just, to me, that's what was damaging about the sack Gerke took there. Ooh, that looked like a possible touchdown throw to Tyler McCullough.
Ball just not thrown on point. McCullough beat his man, was there, and the ball just doesn't have a chance. Just bring yourself down. I know if you're Jordan Gerke, you're excited, you're pumped. Bring it down.
Third down. Lindsey, I believe, was the man that converted both of the first downs, and now we're going to get a timeout taken by Oregon. Mark Helfrich came in from the Oregon sideline to stop things before Colorado's third down play. The road to the Pac-12 Championship is presented by UPS. Of course, the championship game to be played at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. Oregon has clinched its spot there. It will be their second game there this year. They beat Cal in a game in October. Of course, the South is still potentially 5 teams at this moment are still alive. Can Colorado stay alive on this drive? They will have 4th down on Bryce Bobo's drive to the 5-yard line. They will have 4th and 2.
And there's a question now. Do you go for it? Do you take the field goal? I think if you're McIntyre,
I would say this one, I'd say you go for this. 4th and 2? What do you think?
He's kicking the field goal.
And I was I brought that up to you because I was in the category of points. I think it's important to score, but I would 4th and 2.
4th and 2, and if I like my offensive line, I like my running backs, I might give it a chance. But I like getting that 0 off the board, maybe a little more.
23 yards here for Oliver. And so Colorado does get its first points, taking advantage. 2 15-yard penalties gave the Buffs help. Oregon Ducks won the first Pac-12 championship game. LaMichael James, the MVP, as they beat UCLA, and then it was back-to-backs for Stanford on their field in 2012, and then in Tempe in a terrific atmosphere last year. And now after 3 years of the conference championship game being played on home fields, it will be played for the next 3 years at a neutral site in the new stadium of the San Francisco 49ers. Again, Oregon was there. Marcus Mariota was spotted at the end of the Oregon win. He walked back out from the locker room onto the field, looked around. It was empty by then. The stadium took some pictures, knowing that their goal was to get back and play, and Mariota hadn't played in that game yet. Colorado tries its second short kick. This one is covered by Oregon. Let's go down to the field and Jill.
Well, Ted, you don't see Sefo Liufau out there because 2 weeks ago he took a very big hit in the game against Arizona. They said he had concussion-like symptoms. He was medically cleared to play on Wednesday of this week, but the Colorado coaching staff said that he will be the backup today. I've been watching him on the sideline. He's been running around trying to stay warm, even throwing some passes. So it looks like Sefo trying to show the coaching staff that he's willing and able to get back in there, but we're going to wait and see on that one, Ted.
Jill, I think we've all expect that Liufau would get on the field at some point today, as Freeman runs it left and gets piled up, but he does get out across the 45.
Well, I'll tell you what,
a gain of 3.
He's got a pulling, his center, Hamani Stevens, pulls, and he did such a nice job of setting the block. The only reason he gets 3 yards is he knew how to set that block up.
And now Freeman out of the backfield. That'll be a short gain. We should also mention we haven't referenced Hronis Grasu yet, who's out for Oregon today, so that's forced the Ducks to change again on their offensive line.
Yeah, they've had 6 different line play for him offensively. So 6 times they've had a different offensive line in.
And of course, again, new tight end, or at least new frontline tight end, is Evan Bayless. And he's going to be ruled down there. Evan Bayless on the catch and run to the 31 of Colorado.
There's Hronis Grasu, the all-everything center.
So Stevens there, and of course, there's wide open Charles Nelson for the Oregon touchdown.
The value of a run game. Incredible play action pass delivered with accuracy. The linemen pull. It looks for all the world to the Colorado defense like it's a run. What a nice job delivering that ball right on to Charles Nelson. Nelson, front side receiver. Now, it's interesting. When you do play action like that, it's your first uncovered lineman backside that is the most important guy, because he's got to sell it like a run, because you want to influence the backside safety. When he sells it like a run, the safety comes up and you get touchdowns like that.
And again, I'm sure the fear for Colorado was that that kind of play could happen with their secondary. So many untested players today. We saw a couple of guys looking around at each other like, how'd he get so open? Next Saturday, our doubleheader will be from Boulder. And again, the times will be announced probably tomorrow. But Colorado will end its season at Folsom Field, hosting Utah. And we'll be in Berkeley for the BYU-Cal game. You'll see them both here on Pac-12 networks. And of course, the Civil War will be played between the Ducks and the Beavers next week. And the Apple Cup, and then Parker might be slightly engaged in the Territorial Cup.
Territorial Cup. That was, but you know the thing, Ted, what is the best rivalry? The one you're involved in. The best rivalry in college football is the one that you happen to follow, whether that be Montana State or whatnot. But it's time for the Red Vine Sweeten moment. Boy, how about the Ducks on the ground? Marcus Mariota, see, pay attention. There's the spot. Eyes are on him. They're on the running back Marshall. They collapse. Mariota takes it, and that's where that speed and that glide. And how about Royce Freeman? Big back. Oh, there's a lot of territory out there. A lot of open space. Wide receivers block well, and he exploits it. Ducks on the ground for your Red Vine Sweet moment.
Mariota's 10 of 13 passing in the first half. A touchdown, 123 passing yards and 69 rush yards for Mariota, and a touchdown. And Gerke misfires going down the field. Tony Washington got a piece of that. Looked like that was intended for Tyler McCullough. But Spruce has still not caught a pass in this first half. I wonder if that would influence Colorado's thoughts about putting Lufau into the game. Oh, Gerke, and lucky for Colorado, he held that ball because he ran into a backside sack from Armstead.
Armstead with a motor, didn't give up, kept hustling, and you're absolutely right. Colorado very lucky that ball wasn't popped out.
Boy, you saw him take a big club with that right hand. Armstead at that ball, but Gerke must have strong claws there as he held it. So 2 sacks today for the Ducks. third down. They're going to give it to Powell coming out of the backfield. Not much there. Oregon on the perimeter. Derek Malone leading the surge. So Colorado, they had a little success first drive with Lindsey running, and then the last drive where they scored points, 2 15-yard penalties against Oregon were really the fuel.
And Oregon, obviously, they're able to play. They know they can go more man. They can switch up their coverages, put more people in the box, stop that run, because Gerke's not accurate enough right now to hurt them with the pass.
Jordan Gerke has completed 8 passes in this first half, 6 to running backs.
Shows you where he's going with the ball, where he's comfortable. Something underneath, something that's an easy completion for him.
And O'Neal has all kinds of time to let his punt team run down the field and cover this kick. So well done again by O'Neal. That's a net 48. Nice job of switching field position.
We're talking about that offensive line and all the changes they've gone through, and you see weeks 4 and 5 against Washington State, against Arizona. That's when they thought where they were at their worst. 158 rushing yards and 12 sacks allowed. But since then, with some of the shuffling, bringing back Jake Fisher, look at that, 255 yards a game rushing and only 8 sacks allowed at all those other games. So they've liked what they've done, but as I said, 6, 7 different combinations of players now on that line. And right now you have your starting left guard who's starting for your center, and your backup center starting at left guard right now.
No news, obviously, of when Grasu might be able to play again, as Mariota dumps it over the middle. Quick throw there to Marshall. Oregon did bring back on their last series their right tackle, Andre Ururetagoenia.
Wow, I'm not even attempting that.
Come on. Stanford on the catch. But that's nice. He had not played since the Michigan State game. And that's another frontline O-lineman on a year when Mariota he's looked at an awful lot of combinations in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, Johnstone gets hurt in the preseason camp, and that forces Big Y to come in and start. And then he goes down hurt. So I just say Big Y in the familiar terms.
I caught that right away. Byron Marshall. Brian Bowler on the stop for Colorado. State Farm halftime report coming up with Mike M, with Rick, Curtis, and Nick today. Perfect person to talk about this Duck positioning. Ashley Adamson with a report from the Rose Bowl on USC UCLA. All that coming up with the State Farm halftime report. Keenan Lowe on the catch. I want Nick back in the studio to note right now the sun is shining at Autzen Stadium.
Well, they say it never rains in Autzen Stadium. So.
Fans not happy with a little bump there between Stanford, the receiver, and Gillum.
But the ball was uncatchable.
That was, I thought so. I'm not sure if that was he throwing to the runner, the receiver ran a different route?
I think he got caught in between the receivers. I think, with Stanford underneath, and he looked over the top at Nelson, and I think the ball went right between the two. I think he got caught with his eyes between the two of them.
That might have been incidental. It was Smith, of course, that you saw in the replay that Stanford bumped. Now it's Mariota, and he goes down with Smith coming up to hit him. Mariota ducks down to the turf inside the 40. And the Ducks will have 3rd and 5.
And they'll have 2 downs to get it, because you know them.
They will
go.
Flag down. And that ball's caught on the carom. Carrington. He is down at the 10-yard line. There was a flag thrown, of course, on the route run. Carrington catching that one, laying flat on his back on the turf.
Holding, defense number 2. That penalty's declined.
Ken Crawley got called for a hold, and he didn't get away with a hold. He didn't get away with an interception. Incredible job.
He didn't hold well enough, did he?
That's an absolute gift.
Yes.
Right off his foot, bounces up there.
So 1st and goal. Oh, and that ball, that one, he's only thrown 2 picks this year. That one had a little danger to it.
Yeah, safety Moeller was closing fast on that ball.
And Moeller and
As was
Smith,
Terrell
the
Smith.
two safeties were, they kind of had a read on that. Mariota got away with it. 2nd down and goal. Freeman, the running back. Freeman has gone over 1,000 yards for the season with his first half yardage. He has scored 2 touchdowns. Will he score a 3rd? No, good stick there by Colorado. That was a nice job by Moeller. Came rushing up there to put a pretty good hit on Freeman.
Here's that pass we referenced where Terrell Smith right there closing ground fast. If he gets there just split second earlier, possible.
And yet, Nelson had a chance to catch that. So there's Royce Freeman. And a freshman to go over 1,000 yards. It has been, of course, a fascinating change because Byron Marshall, who was a 1,000-yard runner here last year, now has morphed into more of a receiver than a runner. He's still doing both.
And, you know, that's the real untold story about the Ducks offense. You know, we talk about Marshall and Tyner and that physical play inside. Excuse me, Freeman and Tyner's play inside, but Marshall going to wide receiver being such a weapon is a huge part. Royce Freeman, look at this touchdown. He gets good pull, good blocking by everybody, and that's one. And then you just, you know, that's where it's a little smart. He understands his wide receivers blocking. He had all that space to run to. That's Royce Freeman. True freshman, over 1,000. First one ever for the Oregon Ducks.
And remember, that's how good he's been because he's basically leapt ahead of both Marshall and Thomas Tyner to be the number 1 back, and that's going to be out of the end zone. And we'll leave 4th down. Stanford trying to make a acrobatic play along the back line.
So now Oregon, number 73, Terrell Crosby, the right tackle's helmet came off, so he's got to go off.
And now Mark Helfrich is sending the field goal team out. The Ducks have, by the way, for those interested, they've 1 for 1 on 4th downs in this game. They're 70% for the year on 4th downs now, 14 of 20. I assume most 4th downs for Oregon are going to be short, but still, that's pretty good. 70%. 25 yards here for Wogan. And he adds 3 more onto the Oregon first half.
Well, how about Royce Freeman? Let's go on spec. What do we like about this kid? You know, we talked about, we saw his speed and the way he runs, but he's a physical back. He's got such a presence about him. He's very mature. We've talked with him in the past. People say he's like that all the time. He's just cool and easy. He's a big and athletic dude who's got that burst. I mean, he's going to run you over as much as he's going to run around you. And then he's explosive. Man, when he stops and starts, there's some quick and suddenness there. You can pop right through it. We've seen all that on display today. He's just a true freshman. And just a real mature guy, too.
I think comments been made all year long. You go back, LeGarrette Blount had 1 year here, but really Jonathan Stewart is the back that a lot of people say is the best. This is the best big back they've had since Stewart. And I know obviously so many professional scouts and executives come to watch Oregon play. I spoke to one about 3 weeks ago, and I just said, what'd you think of Freeman? He goes, the real deal. That was it.
Yeah. You only see a few of them come through. There seems to be one everywhere, though. You know, how about Buck Allen down at USC? There's the real deal, too.
Well, the 2 leading rushers in the conference will be on the field of the Rose Bowl today. Allen and Paul Perkins are 1 and 2. Over 1,100 yards each starting play.
That sets up to be a great game.
And Lindsey is dragged down just across the 20. Well, it's a real... Kessler fascinates me, Glenn, because this is a day for him. I mean, this year, Hundley was the magazine covers at the beginning of the year. Cody Kessler can be the end of the year guy.
He's having an incredible year and under the radar, just doing a great job. How about the Bruins have not won 3 straight versus USC since 96, 7, and 8. Wow.
Now, again, reminder, if you're not up to speed on all the possibilities, UCLA is the only team in the South that controls their fate. If they win, and they're both at home today and next Saturday, Stanford, UCLA will play Oregon. They're the only team that controls their own fade in the south as DeForest Buckner makes the tackle.
I think in that USC-UCLA game, that D-line for USC is going to have a lot to say in how that game transpires.
And half running out here, and apparently Colorado's going to let it run. And so the Buffaloes came out and they executed an onside kick to start the game to give themselves a shot at jumping out ahead. Didn't happen, and then Oregon did what you would expect Oregon to. And there, it's two leaders on offense. Mariota, by the way, 74 rushing yards along with those pass totals. Freeman with the touchdowns, and just a strong first half for Oregon. Let's hear from Mark Helfrich now with Jill.
Thank you, Ted. Coach, the ground game been successful so far with Royce Freeman and Marcus Mariota early. Why has it been so?
Just those guys kind of complementing one another. We need to play a little bit cleaner up front. We've missed a couple run schemes and protections that we have to clean up. And obviously have to clean up our kickoff return situation a little bit, but in decent shape. Not playing how we want to, but we'll try to get better.
Defensively so far, only allowed 3 points, 2 sacks early on. What have you seen from them?
Yeah, we need to obviously defend the screens a little bit better, get to the quarterback. We're kind of playing right through the middle of guys too much, but the score is where you want it to be, and now we just have to finish.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe.
Ted?
I'm going to call that nitpicking.
I would agree.
It's a nice position for a coach to be in at halftime.
The best games are when you have coaching points and you win.
All right, there's your halftime score from Eugene. Now let's go to our Pac-12 Network studios and Mike Yam. His play was outstanding in the first half. Oregon with the lead. Given the national significance of this game, Glenn Parker, I'm interested to see, I think we all, how much Mariota plays.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how many snaps he gets in this second half and how much they keep him in.
I think he stays.
I probably agree with you. He's a special player, though. The run sets up the pass. We always talk about it, but let's look what he does with his eyes and the way he sees things. This simple, zone read concept, zone blocking, read the backside end, the end crashes. Mariota makes him pay. But now understand setting up that run. Again, you pull your guard and your center. Look at the eyes of the defenders. They're in the backfield. Oh, yeah, and look at Nelson. He's going to run right past that backside safety who's been sold. Offensive line did its job. They did Hollywood. They sold it as an acting job. Safeties fell for it. Mariota makes him pay. Great job with his eyes as well.
So underway. Start the third quarter. Philip Lindsay will bring this out from the end zone. And you heard Mark Helfrich say that work on that kick cover Oregon does. Stops Lindsay at the 15. Conference leaders brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. 2 more in the first half for Royce Freeman here. Nick Wilson has run for 218 and 3 touchdowns, and they're still playing in Utah.
Now they're Arizona.
Those are 2 pretty good freshman running backs right there.
That's right. You got freshman running backs who are putting up a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns. And Dollar Shave Club. I like that logo. The cross razors.
Yeah.
I use a safety razor myself, so,
Up top. I have not been that courageous yet.
Oh, you have no need.
We have to get Michael Molinari and Scott Barkey to put you on camera. You're sporting the Bruce Arians look today, man. I think it's very cool. And did that ball come free?
Yeah, it did come free, but he fell right on it.
Okay.
Did Lindsay. Yeah, it gets cold. You gotta keep the nugget warm.
Revo with a stick. So Jordan Gerke has played the entire way. And we're wondering if Colorado might consider putting, and they still might, of course, put Lou Fowl in the game, but not to start the second half.
And I think, the prudent thing is to not put him in at this point. You're down 30-3. Yes, you can come back, obviously, but odds are you won't. So why put him out there and put him in harm's way?
So Lindsay drives that one out to the 24-yard line. That's a 9-yard Lindsay gain.
I like the way Lindsay runs. I mean, he when he puts his foot down, there's where he's going. He's not going to cut back. He's not going to make people miss. He's going to get through that hole Just unfortunately for Jeremy Irwin, his left tackle, Lindsey took his kidney out with a big shot to his own tackle before he went on through that hole.
You know, this year's ending up for Colorado. Lindsey's going to end up being one of their bright spots, a guy that they can lean on for another couple of years. Short third down. And a nice shift by Christian Powell. Nice little jump cut there to get the first down.
Yeah, Jeremy Irwin and Kaiwi Crabb, left guard, left tackle, those two guys just smashed down DeForest Buckner to own that side of the ball. And Powell, good job of seeing it and making that cut.
So you see the total rush yards. Lindsey does have 47 himself for Colorado today. The big individual story for Colorado, Nelson Spruce has not caught a pass. He was 3 targets in the first quarter, all of them incomplete, all of them defended well by Oregon's Troy Hill. Flag down behind the play, and there's, well, let's see if that stands. It would be the first catch for Spruce, but we await the flag.
Came in from the linesman.
Personal foul, hands to the face, defense number 44. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run, automatic first down.
So DeForest Buckner with hands to the face, you wonder, the play before, short yardage, they go over him, he comes back and gets that penalty. Now here's the most receptions all time, single season.
Well, that's a milestone. Nelson Spruce becomes just the 6th man in the history of the pack, 8, 10, 12, to catch 100 passes in a season. And of course, Spruce is in the running for the Biletnikoff Award given to the nation's top receiver. His coach, Troy Walters, won that award as a Stanford wide receiver in the late 90s. And Gerke takes the slide down at the 42 of the Ducks.
Well, the story on that play right there is Lindsey pass blocking. A running back, young kid, and doing a great job pass blocking to allow Gerke to break out and get a few yards.
Colorado 9 first downs now in the game. They've had a couple of drives into Oregon territory. The best one they had is in the first half was really aided by 2 personal fouls against the Ducks. They got down inside the 10, but could not punch it to the end zone.
Lindsey doing a nice job running the ball. That was a nice gain. I didn't get that first, but the fact that they're trying to stay on the field and help their defense out.
That time the Ducks defensive front swarms Lindsey.
Yeah, Eric Armstead, great job. Nice tackle in the backfield. He's the one that gets there first. I don't care how tough you are, if you're Philip Lindsey, you're going through a lot of meat trying to get there. Eric Armstead. This is the blocking by Lindsey on the previous play. Just a great job by him going one-on-one and helping out his quarterback. I like this kid, Lindsey. That's got a lot of tough to him.
So CU will go for it, 4th and 2. And Gerke dives. Let's see where they put that ball, where they try to slam it down on the turf. He's going to be marked short of a first down. Gerke saw the pressure coming from the front side, so he escaped out the back, but couldn't find anywhere to throw it.
Yeah, their defenders were closing fast, and he tried his best.
So Oregon will take over on downs.
Welcome back inside Autzen Stadium, where the Ducks are in control. Marcus Mariota playing in what many believe to be his final game here in Autzen Stadium. Now, he's not officially a senior this year, but the Oregon student section, the pit crew, wanted to do something to honor him, so they were handing out yellow and green leis as the students were walking in. They handed out about 2,000 of them, and I can tell you right now, it doesn't really feel like Hawaii down here, Ted, but at least the sun is shining again.
It's yes, it is. Just a little bit on the stands on the far side. Freeman breaks a big one and could not tightrope the sideline. He might have, well, maybe not gone all the way, but he would have punched it deep. Instead, to the 34 of Colorado, a 27-yard run.
Really got a sense of his speed there. You know, that's a big back. And, you know, I say that he's not the speed of an Anthony Thomas, but boy, you get a big back like that out around the corner, he's moving.
And a good throw there to Byron Marshall, driven out of bounds. Ken Crawley on the hit.
Here's Freeman from that last play. Just the speed to get to the edge. But then that burst, that explosiveness. Boy, if he's maybe not as heavy, that inertia of all that muscle throwing himself outside, maybe he tight ropes it all the way. See his numbers, great speed, explosive power.
He's at over 1,000 yards now with his totals today. Mariota comes back, that's incomplete, is the ruling intended for Darren Carrington.
This ball just skips into Carrington's arms a little bit. You can see it hits the ground. That's a great replay by our man Jeremy Brown.
Aren't they all?
They are. And by the way,
Jeremy's involved?
It's Jeremy Brown's birthday today.
And that's a terrific adjustment by Dwayne Stanford. Oh, he did a marvelous job to adjust his body and catch that against the coverage of Kenneth Olabode.
Olabode's got good coverage, but what a great job. As you said, adjusting his body, and this ball's thrown back shoulder where he can turn on it. That's a beautiful throw, beautiful adjustment. Ducks are knocking again.
23 yards on that gain, 1st and goal. And from the 2, Mariota looking to throw it, and eventually goes down. Leaping in his path there was Addison Gillum coming in. He's going to try to deflect an attempted pass, and then Mariota, like his legs just buckled under him.
I think he faked, and that body was up in the air, and he thought, you know, how about a little bit of
discretion?
Discretion being the better part of valor right there.
So that'll go down as the 2nd Colorado sack. Won't be given to an individual. 2nd and goal for the Ducks. Freeman alongside Mariota. Oh, and Mariota, man, he wasn't far. Smith did a nice job to run him out of bounds. And Mariota was about a half a step away from being able to turn enough, Glenn.
Yeah, he had a great block on the perimeter out there by Charles Nelson. Nelson had the block on Crowley, and that was going to allow him to spring. But as you said, just not quite enough. Just not enough yardage to get himself turned.
3rd and goal. Now 3 yards. The receiver clustered to the right of the formation. They're going to swing it to Freeman. Let everybody block. Oh, nice job by Addison Gillum.
Colorado defense stepping up pretty big here. 3 downs. They've stepped up, making a 4th goal. Here's a little toss, a little lateral out to Freeman, and that is a lateral. It went backwards. And great job by Gillum.
Yes.
Addison Gillum.
Well, you'd like from the Colorado side to see him finish the season well, because he's battled a bunch of injuries and head issues this year.
Yeah, they were telling us just all the throughout the times we've done their games, just the injuries he's had, as you said, the issues that he's gone on. What a player he's become for him.
4th down. And Mariota gets away, keeps the play going. He's got a man wide open in the back of the end zone, but Mariota sailed it high, and he could not connect with Darren Carrington.
An uncharacteristically high throw out of Marcus Mariota. 4 downs, they couldn't get it in. Marcus Mariota on a nice job scrambling. Finds his man, just can't get it to his hands, and Marcus Mariota proving to be a little human here today.
Now Marcus Mariota failing there for really the first time today. Couldn't get Oregon in the end zone. 4 plays from inside the 10. Now watching, and Colorado has brought Sefo Lufau in the game for the first time. Buffalo's backed up to their 4. Tony Jones, the running back. And Burrow's low to get a couple. Heisman Watch is presented by Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy. These are these numbers, in fact, are coming into today. Melvin Gordon has 183 today and 2 touchdowns for Wisconsin.
Incredible year he's having. Of course, Marcus Mariota having a great day as well. And Mari Cooper in their win over Western Carolina had some yardage as well. And so Sefo Liufau about to get his second snap. I'm not sure I would agree with bringing him in if he was indeed injured last week.
Tony Jones on the carry, gets it out across the 15. And I think we all understand your point, Glenn. I would just say if he's not medically cleared to play, then, I mean, if he was medically cleared to play, you assume he's okay. If he wasn't, he shouldn't be here.
Well, right, and I understand that point. But my point is, you're down 30-3. You really haven't. So, what was the reason to go with Gerke in the first place then? Was it you wanted to get him experience? You thought he was going to do something wonderful for you? And if that decision I would have based my decision right here on that. The fact that they went with Gerke, then stay with him. It's 30-3. All that can happen now is Liufau gets a few extra snaps, and you hope that you stay healthy for your last game. Gerke on the sideline didn't look particularly happy, as well he shouldn't be. No one likes being taken out.
Liufau's played at 453 throws this year. 26 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He has been hit a lot, as would be expected. And that's broken up on the second down pass over the middle. Let's check in with Mike Yam now in San Francisco. All right, Mike, how does that factor into game control?
Yeah, I know that USC's being bludgeoned over the fact that they went on the road early and lost to them.
Yeah.
That's your national
to Boston College, right?
Yeah, lost to Boston College, and there's your defending national champion.
I had a chance
struggling as well.
Yeah, I had a chance this week to speak to a member, Tyrone Willingham, former Pac-10 coach, and was a member of the playoff committee. And I just wanted to be clear: is the football playoff committee's charge the same as the basketball committees in March, which is to pick the best 68 teams, regardless of conference, regardless of anything? And I said, absolutely, our charge is to pick the 4 best teams. And therefore, that answers the question on a net 44-yard punt about multiple teams out of one conference. We'll tackle that a little further. All right, here's the Pac-12 South race scenarios. Assuming Arizona finishes the closing moments, they're way ahead of Utah. Utah will be eliminated. These 4 will still be alive, but the simplest answer is UCLA. UCLA wins their final 2. They're in. USC has the second best chance.
That's right, and the game has gone final now. Okay. Arizona beating Utah 42-10. Yeah, when you look at that, you see all the machinations that can happen. It's like watching sausage being made, right?
Byron Marshall on the screen from Mariota, pushing the ball into Colorado territory. Of course, Oregon made things very simple by wrapping up the North easily and early, but the South again still wide open. Although the winner of the USC-UCLA game tonight is going to be a heavy favorite. This is USC's final conference game, it should be noted. They play Notre Dame next week, while UCLA still has a conference game to play next week.
That's right. And then, of course, you're going to have a lot of people rooting for one team or the other based on where their team sits. The Arizona fans will all be rooting for UCLA to beat USC so that they have a chance.
Carrington. And that's just enough for an Oregon first down. We saw the 3 names, Glenn, in the Heisman that we put on the screen. Who else do you think's a legit? Prescott of Mississippi State has been in the conversation all year.
He's been in the conversation. I think the loss to Alabama hurts him. The fact that they have not played elite competition yet has hurt him. There's always somebody, and rivalry weekend coming up, and then the championship games. You're going to see another name probably pop up that we're not thinking of right now. That is a star already that just hasn't gotten. Right. I think Buck Allen's a name that really should be considered.
Holding, offense number 75.
Mark Helfrich reacting to that flag.
First down.
It's going to push Oregon back towards midfield. And of course, the quarterbacks at TCU and Boykin and Ohio State, Barrett, they've had their names mentioned. I always ask this one, and Manti Te'o was in the mix a couple of years ago. Mosley at Alabama had some mentions last year. Is there a defensive player, even though that will not happen, a defensive player will not win it, but that could at least be in the mix, in the conversation?
Well, there's defensive players that should be in the mix. One could point maybe at Orchard. I'll just go Pac-12. Nate Orchard at Utah with all of his sacks and the way he's played. How about Leonard Williams? He's the best defensive player in the country.
Yep.
And if he gets a chance, he's going to be highly regarded by everybody coming out next year. And there's a guy, obviously, that should be considered, but won't.
Mariota now to 246 pass yards, 73 on the ground. And that's a good throw there to the 15-yard line and a first down catch by Nelson.
Great protection, allowed Mariota to stand in the pocket, step up and deliver.
17 on that play. And there's the touchdown throw to Evan Bayless. First career touchdown as a Duck for Evan Bayless, sophomore from Centennial, Colorado.
With a wheel route, going to be on the right side. He gets into the flat and then turns north. Defender falls down and delivered perfectly. Nice route by Bayless. A great throw by Mariota. They make it look too easy sometimes.
Opponents would say most of the time. And so Marcus Mariota now with 2 touchdown passes and a touchdown run as Oregon builds its lead. Wrapping up a fabulous 3-year career. Coming from Hawaii, coming from a high school that had produced some pretty good quarterbacks. Jason Gesser, that played at Washington State, Timmy Chang. Here's what Marcus Mariota, these are the quantity numbers, Glenn, and counting.
Those are all records that he has set at Oregon. Amazing when you look at just the preponderance of yards, touchdown. Boy.
Philip Lindsay on the run back. And a flag, that'll be a high hit going out of bounds. Did he get a face mask?
Grabbed him right by the face mask from the look of it.
Troy Hill driving him out of bounds there, so Colorado will get 15 added.
Personal foul, face mask, kicking team number 13. 15 yards added to the end of the run, first down.
And of course, the story's been told before, but as we wind down now towards the Heisman and then what Oregon hopes will be a Pac-12 championship national playoff, story that Mariota choosing to come to Oregon and staying, even though at the time it looked like a kid named Johnny Manziel was also going to come here. Chip Kelly recruited both of them. And Mariota decided to honor his commitment, come here. Manziel didn't, chose to go to Texas A&M, and fates, of course, and we all know what they've done for both men. Sefo Liufau, a second series for CU, and that's a nice catch, and that is held along the sideline by Kyle Slavin.
That's an incredible job of coming down with that ball. Over the top help. Safety was all over it, and yet he comes up with that ball with 1 foot in bounds to grab this ball. Here's a great look. Sefo Liufau finding his big tight end Slavin to watch that ball in.
All right, now the booth has signaled down. They want to take a closer look. Booth's been a little quiet today. They were talking to them at halftime. They were a little bit surprised because that deflected pass in the first half that was caught by Carrington laying on his back, they thought might have hit the ground. They were as surprised as we were to see it actually hit the heel of the defensive player.
And we'll take a look. Here's what they're reviewing here. Slavin, defender draped on him, watches it in, catches it, and he's got 1 foot in. That's a great job by a tight end. Very athletic play, knowing where he was, being aware of the situation, and he completed the process of the catch all the way through the ground.
There's the...
Boy, Troy Hill was so close to picking it, yet Slavin the one who comes up with it.
Well, without a fixed camera that would look up the sideline, I don't think you're going to see anything there to change what was called on the field.
Parents are waiting in guest services on the west end.
At some point, we'll see a day when football will have that. I think the professional game and the major conferences in Division I.
The ruling on the field stands as called. First down.
Just like tennis, which is the best replay system on earth, has fixed cameras that shoot the lines. You would have fixed cameras that shoot the goal lines, the back line of the end zone, and down both sidelines. You would have one view, therefore, of that play, and in 5 seconds you would know whether or not his foot was in bounds.
I think how important the sideline warning would become then.
Yes, absolutely.
Block the view of a big play.
So Colorado with a first down. Oregon's 44. That was Lufau's first completed pass. Christian Powell. He was not ruled out of bounds. And Christian Powell's going to take that all the way down inside the 10. He tightrope the sideline, and everybody here assumed he went out of bounds. Officials say no, and Powell takes it to the 5-yard line.
We'll see if he steps out or not, but what a great job, Powell, understanding where he was. He gets this edge, and that little stiff arm to knock the hand down gets him on the corner, and he looks like he stepped out right back there with his left foot, shy of the first. They're not going to get to a replay. Smart job, Colorado, getting the snap off fast.
41 yards on the run. Colorado got up there just in case they wanted to take a much closer look at this.
And I actually think he stepped out of
before
bounds.
that, yes.
I think he stepped out of bounds about 3 yards shy of the first down.
Yeah,
and
here it is. Yeah,
here it comes. I think that's as close as it gets.
Yeah, there's a little green there.
And there he was out of bounds right there, about a yard short. Yep. So, hey, they knew the rule. They got up and snapped the ball.
Well, the Autzen crowd, the students, making enough noise to force Lufau to take time out. They'd like to see the defense keep Colorado out of the end zone. So Colorado takes a team timeout here. So Colorado with Lufau, and it looks, Glenn, like they're going to allow Lufau to play out this game and hope, I'm assuming, calling plays that don't put him, or at least minimize the chance of putting him in position to take a big hit.
Yeah, and that's what's surprising, that a zone read concept would work, because you don't really feel the threat of him running too much. But I think you're right. They'll keep him out of harm's way as much as possible.
There were some Oregon students that at halftime decided to head back to the dorms, the frat houses, but those that are here are making a ton of noise. Tried to loft that to the corner for Bryce Bobo.
Yeah, Bureau Mathis had some good coverage on him. He was right with him the whole time. No opportunity to make a play on that ball for Bobo. Lufau definitely brings a spark to this offense. He's showing that.
Yeah. Of course, bigger man, 6'4", 230. And just experience. He's played a year and a half now for the Buffs. Gonna roll him on third down. He might be able to keep it, but will throw for a touchdown. Nice extension of the play, and Donovan Lee got himself free to the right pylon.
A neat concept by Colorado. Little waggle, you roll him, you got the edge, and it's an out, and there's no way a large linebacker is staying on Donovan Lee in that amount of space. That's why you run the horizontal routes, is to use your speed. Nice, good concept on that. Very common concept in most offenses. Little roll, get the ball out of the hands fast. They did a nice job by Colorado. That was a good drive, aided by a penalty, personal foul penalty on the kick.
So Lufau with the touchdown pass. Donovan Lee's first college touchdown. Freshman wide receiver for CU. And let's now check back down on the field with Jill Savage.
Well, Don Pelham calling his defense over. He wants to talk to them. But, there's two ways to get Glenn Parker's attention, Ted. You either start talking offensive line or you start talking about food. And Don Pelham is a great chef. Now, last week, it was the bye week, and it was his wife's Marla's birthday. So Coach Pelham cooked up some cioppino, and he made some substitutions for the special occasion. He used lobster instead of shrimp, scallops, halibut, clams, pasta. They even threw in some wine from Italy from their trip there 2 years ago. I asked him when the cookbook is coming out. He said he has one at home, but he hasn't published it, Ted. If he does, I'm definitely going to go get a copy of that. Coach Pelham is one great chef.
Well, I'll tell you what, he needs to go, maybe the Ducks or the conference can help. He needs to make a trip to North Beach in San Francisco when they come down for the championship game.
There you go.
Because that's Cioppino Central. And he can sit down and share his recipe, or share maybe not the recipe, but perhaps a sample of his product with some of the great Italian restaurants there. That is a terrific dish. Kick was bounced along the turf. Oregon runs it back to the 35-yard line. Don't forget that, indeed, for the first time, the Pac-12 football championship game comes to a neutral site, and it's Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. Tickets are available at pac-12.com/tickets. And it will be, as it was for the Oregon-Cal regular season game, and we all know how many Oregon alums and fans there are in Northern California. They were in mass number for the regular season game that Oregon played there against Cal. Assume they'll be the same for the championship game. So the Ducks keeping Mariota on the field, handing it to Freeman, who runs it. And Freeman is going to get a first down on this across the 45 before Terrell Smith brings him down.
Would expect I'd see Mariota maybe throw or run a few more. How long will they keep him in? Will be interesting.
Well, this gets into the question, Glenn, about we're now in and everything has been subjective, of course. Every poll is subjective. Even the selection by a committee is subjective. And what is the importance of making that subjective impression on a subjective decision?
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Have I made that clear? Byron Marshall with a catch, and Mariota will be over 300 pass yards on that throw, which will take it down to the 26.
Byron Marshall, just an incredible story in that as a running back, how good he was to be moved positions. A lot of people would resist. He didn't. He's just been a huge part of their offense from that slot receiver position.
Freeman busts the middle and takes it down inside the 15. And let me be clear, by the way, I'm 100% in favor of the playoff. I think it's way overdue and fabulous. My point only is that we still have subjectivity in the process. And as long as that's the case, then the fear comes in that putting style points up, scoring, will help.
That's right. Yeah. No, and I agree with you. As long as we allow, as you said, as long as it's subjective, as long as people are watching who might, for some reason, downgrade a player or a team for any reason, you can't give them that reason.
So the injured player.
It's Akello Witherspoon.
I was going to say that's, the double number there. It's Akello Witherspoon coming off the field. Defensive 23 for Colorado. Sophomore from Sacramento. And there's no injury that's good, but the situation Mike McIntyre and his team is in, they can't afford to lose anybody in the secondary. They're so thin. Mike said in all his years coaching, he's never seen an attrition at one position like his team has suffered in the secondary. And Mariota tacks on with his third touchdown pass of the day. That's to Devin Allen.
And that's a repeat of their earlier touchdown hookup.
I'm sorry, the correction. That's Charles Nelson on the catch.
So Charles Nelson. Offensive linemen sell it like Hollywood. They're going to pull. So you got guys pull, backside safety. Moeller, he steps up. He thinks it's a run. He's responsible for Mariota in the run. Front side safety's got to stay with Nelson. Didn't do it. Play action. Going Hollywood with the offensive line. Sells it well, and Oregon puts another one in.
So Charles Nelson with his second touchdown reception of the day. Mariota now 323 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. He's at 73 rush yards and a touchdown, so almost 400 total yards. 13 300-yard pass games in his career at Oregon, and another very strong list. That combination. How many people would know who Dan Lefevre is? Dan Lefevre was the guy that was discovered by Brian Kelly. Now the Notre Dame coach. Brian Kelly was the Central Michigan coach who gave Lefevre an offense to run, and he became the first quarterback to reach that combination.
Right. That Central Michigan was putting up a lot of points and a lot of yards.
Well, Mariota's done the same, and Oregon up 44 points through 3 quarters. Since conference play in 2011 started with the addition of Utah and Colorado to make it the Pac-12, Oregon has averaged 44.9 a game. So they're right there.
Right on pace.
Dark clouds starting to accumulate above Autzen Stadium. We make it a little more wet here in the 4th quarter as Lindsey lets that kick die in the end zone.
Beautiful Autzen Stadium.
I still can't get over it. Every time I come here and you think about what it was when you played, when I first was in the Pac-10 coming here, that was the press box, what you're seeing on the right of your screen. That was the press box. None of this on this side as the camera will pan, none of this existed.
It was always a very loud stadium, and with this addition, the way they've done it, it seems like it amplifies it even more.
So Lufau hits Spruce, and Nelson Spruce with his second catch of the day, 101 on the season. It's a Colorado single-season record for Spruce. And again, he is not going to get the individual numbers today, but if he can have a good game at home next week, he's going to become maybe the 3rd most prolific single-season receiver in the history of the conference. But that's what they hope will be a December prize here in Eugene. Easy for Royce Freeman, and he can walk this one in.
Royce Freeman is a load.
Mariota's gone.
Blinding speed. You are not going to catch Marcus Mariota.
Charles Nelson for the Oregon touchdown.
Incredible play action pass delivered with accuracy. Ducks are rolling.
533 yards and just 61 plays. Almost 9 yards a play. Mariota has orchestrated 3/4 of a gem. His day may be finished. Thrown for 3, run for 1, almost 400 yards total offense for Mariota. Lufau throws a short ball to Spruce, and an Oregon defensive lineman is down.
Yeah, he was cut, and Irwin.
It's DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, Irwin cut him, and that's where the flag came in, and he was holding his knee immediately.
And there you see the flag thrown right at Buckner.
Holding, offense number 76, 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
And I want to see it because I think he was. They're called holding.
Yeah, they did. So,
which I'm interested to see because I thought someone was cut on the backside.
but obviously their pictures show looking at the right knee of DeForest Buckner, key junior member of the Oregon defensive front.
All
right, DeForest Buckner was able to get up and walk albeit a little slowly off the field. Glenn, talk about the block.
Well, your left tackle, Irwin, sets up and then goes for the cut. And he gets called for a holding because he wraps his arm around his leg, but it's that cut from the outside in that put DeForest Buckner down on the ground. And Irwin immediately knew when he looked, he knew what happened, and you could tell he felt awful about it as well.
Well, that was an issue earlier in the season in the conference. Oregon State had 2 defensive linemen hurt. That they felt were tough blocks by USC in the same game. Foul with a throw to Lindsey in the flat.
Lindsey is impressing me. You know, we've covered him in the past. We've always liked what he brought to the table, but he's against a good defense. He's showing up quite a bit today, doing a lot of the little things.
Again, Michael Adkins didn't make the trip here for the Buffaloes, but Lindsey's had the bulk of the snaps from the 3 running backs. This one in the flat to Shea Fields, and Shea Fields is out, stopped short of a first down.
Some good pursuit by that Oregon defense. Johnny Reagan came flying over. Starting to see that other bodies fly around the field for him.
But you can just see the experience factor here. Colorado's offense has a rhythm with Lufau in the game.
And they have to respect Lufau's throwing ability.
Oh, that one almost picked. You could see that. We have the beauty there of being high above, and you could see Chris Cisse jumping that route, and again, a hair from taking that one home.
He was sitting on Lufau. That's knowing tendencies, knowing what's coming, and just can't quite come down with it.
So a Colorado punt. O'Neal. Jonathan Lloyd is back to return this punt. The basketball standout here who's playing, again, 1 year of football for the Ducks. And that one's going to end up being a second time in this game that O'Neal's hit that rugby punt with a great roll. 61-yard net. Lloyd doesn't get a chance. Well, Marcus Mariota comes back out for Oregon here. First Ducks possession of the fourth quarter. Oregon backed up to their 5-yard line. Running play on first down, stop for a very short gain. And now Mariota saw a ceremonial snap. A very nice moment orchestrated there by Mark Helfrich. Mariota getting the ceremonial snap and then the chance to come off and receive that reception from the crowd and from his teammates.
Yeah, that was a nice moment. And then to go back to football for 1 minute, how much confidence do you have in Tyler Lockey that you let him throw the very first snap and he completes it for you?
So Jeff Lockey into quarterback, completes the first pass. Kenny Bassett had run previously. That's his second to carry. The pass from Lockey was to Zach Schuler for 10 yards. His first catch.
Jeff Lockey, he's a talented quarterback and from the Bay Area, Ted.
That's from the East Bay, Alamo, California. Kenny Bassett, these are the moments a lot of these Oregon players who are very talented, they wait for this chance to get into games in the fourth quarter and show their stuff for next year. Mariota with 396 total yards of offense in this game. 3 pass touchdowns, 1 rush touchdown.
Ball just a little overthrown. Johnny Munt, tight end, couldn't quite come down with that. But how about Jeff Lockey? He's a we've seen him before, a lot of games. He's gotten some experience. Sophomore. We would assume Mariota might not be coming back next year. So he might be the guy. Getting a chance to show the coaches what he can do out here.
6'2", 200 sophomore. Oh, he got smacked. George Frazier, red shirt for the Buffs, pass rusher, came in and got a good smack on Lockey.
Yeah, George Frazier unblocked, ran right into Lockey, but you know what? Showed sign of respect. Didn't hit him, didn't take him down hard, and when they got up, they shook hands. A little sportsmanship between the two of them. Love that.
So Lockey now, the Ducks need 10 yards to try to run for it, and they won't get it. As that was Benoit on the carry, didn't get there. Let's go down to the field and Jill.
Well, Ted, as Marcus Mariota ran off the field, he went and stood right next to Hronis Grasu, his center. Now, Grasu's not playing because he was banged up in the Utah game. He said the season's not over for him, and he said on Saturday, you'll definitely hear my voice. And this is what he meant, because the other centers out there on the field practicing, Hronis giving them some pointers, as he said he would. Now, he's not having the scooter here today. He opted instead to go with the crutches. I think that he had been given a little flack by his teammates this week.
Yeah, they all talked teammates and coaches, thought maybe he needed a bell on his little scooter, giving him a little grief.
Offensive linemen stick together. Now that's the prevailing thought here today. You had a feeling that 50,000 plus that came here today are saying exactly that. 3 fabulous years of football from Marcus Mariota, and senior class honored today that has been a part of incredible winning football. But Marcus Mariota has 2 things that he hasn't yet accomplished, one of which he's done. He will play in the Pac-12 championship game for the first time. New foul in the game for Colorado's got a man wide open down the field. Big pass play. That's Kyle Slavin. Second catch for Slavin, and he takes it down inside the Oregon 45.
He lines up at the right tight end spot and just crosses the entire formation underneath when they roll away. And he wheels out into open space, and great job, Lufau, finding him. Slavin's been a target for him, but a penalty.
Yes.
Bringing it back.
A 44-yard play. It's wiped out a hold, and I think it was the one that was right. You could see an end zone shot, the block right in front of Lufau as he was throwing the ball.
The little things that separate good teams.
And of course, CU fans have suffered because they have been, not today clearly, but they've been competitive in a lot of games this year. They've had chances to win games, and they've done this to themselves in fourth quarters and overtimes. So Tony Jones carries it. And the build is not going to happen as quickly as Mike McIntyre wants. That was the year before he started. And now in the 2 seasons that he has been the head coach, you see, trust me, this is a consolation prize. There's no argument. But they have to believe the Buffs it's trending the right way.
That's right. Points against is going down. Points for is going up. Margin of the loss has gotten smaller and smaller. They're playing in games that are meaningful, and they're in the games. I see a lot of positives and a lot of growth out of the Buffalo program.
Their defensive coordinator, Ken Bear, is one of the true veterans of college football. Mike McIntyre had Ken at San Jose State, brought him to Colorado. Ken's coached at 6 of the 12 Pac-12 schools.
You know, and following that theme, he's got experienced guys coaching. Gary Bernardi, offensive line coach, been around for a long, long time. And been in this conference a long time as well. Bringing in experienced coaches, guys who know what they're doing, building for the long haul, not just trying to win a few games quickly.
So Colorado needing 12 yards, and they'll run it. Tony Jones does a nice job, cuts back to gains about half of what they need, but Colorado will punt. There you see Kent Bear with his in the middle of the 3. And he's a good football man.
One of the good ones, for sure.
And he was the defensive coordinator for a Rose Bowl team at Stanford in 1999, was defensive coordinator at Washington, worked at Cal, worked at Arizona State. So there's one more I'm missing. I'll have to figure out which one it is. I know he's been at 6 of them. Jonathan Lloyd wanted a touch, and he got it. Oh, now he can really make something happen. He might. Well, it's going to come back. Jonathan Lloyd is going to get to the end zone, but a flag likely brings this one back.
I think they're going to get Dior Mathis for a hold or block in the back. He grabbed the shoulder pad, and that's how he got that edge.
During the return, holding return team number 3. 10-yard penalty, first down.
And the Oregon fans, of course, so appreciated Jonathan Lloyd's contributions to Ducks basketball.
That's right.
Most valuable player in the Pac-12 tournament a couple of years ago. And they were thrilled for a moment. So this is his Warhol. This is his 15 seconds of football fame.
There's a great look. You can see Dior Mathis grab the shoulder pad and turn him, and that's why he gets that edge. So fans can be upset, but there is no return without that hold. And that's just the way it is.
So no touchdown for Jonathan Lloyd. And instead, Jeff Locke will hand it off inside. All right, here are some players as we wind towards the end of the regular season that have made, and I would say this is a fair one, which is Glenn, unexpected impacts.
Yeah, Scooby Wright, big player last year, but I don't know that people expected him to be able to back it up again, and he did, because once you know he's out there, you tend to get on him. Nate Orchard just having a great year. I mean, Cody Kessler, maybe really the true story. He's going to be, other than Marcus Mariota, he's the next best quarterback, and maybe one day will be better, who knows. Nelson Spruce just having an incredible year with 101 receptions. And Kalen Clay was somebody nobody knew coming into the season at all, and he's just had an incredible year returning the ball and now becoming more of a force at wide receiver as well.
Kenai Benoit with a couple of carries for the Ducks, and now the third down pass is broken up, and Oregon does not get anything close to the first down yardage, and they're going to get a shaken up player, Zach Schuler, on that catch, and see the result of the tackle. Next Saturday, the Civil War game at Reser Stadium this year. Two of there are 5 great rivalry games in this conference, 2 of them today, and the first one is surprising. It's definitely surprising me. Stanford is really putting a hammer on Cal.
Considering that they put so many points on them last year, I thought Cal would fight and be a little more in that game.
All right, our amazing play of the game is brought to you by Quicken Loans.
Marcus Mariota, play action pass, 3 touchdown passes out of Marcus Mariota today, not to mention a good running effort, but the passing, accurate, efficient, finding his targets, delivering it. Marcus Mariota delivering Quicken. Amazing play of the game. This is career numbers. Wow. 95 TDs, 12 interceptions. That is an incredible ratio.
That's the part. And, Glenn, we showed that briefly earlier, but of course Oregon had the ball then, so you can't linger. But and again, you look at the players that were on that list. Primarily elite college quarterbacks of the last, 15 years.
Right, yeah.
Raining now in Eugene, so the ball's going to be a little tougher to handle, and Lufau airmails it. I don't know how bad it is at Berkeley today, but I will say this, we're referencing Stanford is really putting a beating on Cal in the big game. I don't think anybody would have thought that Kevin Hogan would pass for more yards than Jared Goff today, but that's what's happened.
Well, this shows you again what a great defense can do for you. Stanford, one of the better defenses in the nation.
And of course, what rivalry games are. That you throw racing forms out, don't you?
That's what they say.
What do you think?
Well,
You sounded skeptical there.
No, it's absolutely true. There's a certain intensity that comes into those games that certainly, you're absolutely right. You throw the script out in the rivalries because of the kids and the emotion and what can happen and how they can go. Of course, what I was a part of, the Territorial Cup, always one that go either way. Richard trying to get his first win against Kevin Graham. Well, in that ASU program, Kevin Graham, the ASU program.
All right, so we're going to get I believe a roughing the passer foul, yes.
Pardon my
the ASU coach.
Pardon my mistake, Todd Graham. For some reason.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 92. Illegal contact with the helmet. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Henry Mondo, freshman from Portland.
Yeah.
Fouls here.
Can't touch the head. Not sure that he did. He gives him a little, hey, I didn't mean to hit you so hard kind of thing. They were being sportsmen about it. I don't know that they should have called that. I don't think he hit him in the head. I think it looked like it in the bang-bang situation, but in reality he didn't do it.
Philip Lindsay got a foot down to make that catch. It'll be his 4th reception of the day. Again, the score indicates very clearly what kind of day it's been for Colorado on offense, and Nelson Spruce has really been limited. Just 2 catches for 16 yards. And of course, the Colorado for 2.5 quarters, Jordan Gerke was in the game, did not have a real productive pass game.
There's not enough threats for this offense just yet. They're getting there, but they just don't have enough threats to spread you out and do all the things they need to do.
Catch by Bobo, but nothing after the catch. There again is this is the touchdown interception ratio updated. Look at that remarkable 32-2 this season.
The ratio so much. I mean, when you look at all those quarterbacks and look where he is and how far above their numbers he is in that ratio, it's almost obscene how well he's played.
And Lufau finally forced to just launch one down the field, well beyond the line of scrimmage. So that'll be an incompletion. Well, coming up, Mike Yam and our studio team on hand for the Dr. Pepper postgame report to recap the day's action. Clearing up, well, if they could clear up the Pac-12 South, Mike Yam, well, we know Mike is smart. That would really be something. And, of course, another rushing record today by a freshman at Oklahoma. And then tonight we have Oregon State and Washington here for you, 7:30 on Pac-12 Networks. Jonathan Lloyd trying again. And there's a nice special teams tackle there.
Oregon State, dangerous team, aren't they? Got after Arizona State, beat the Sun Devils. Get it done. Mike Riley, they always get somebody. And last year, hey, they weren't supposed to be in the game. And man, they made it a contest. That thing went to the wire. Josh Huff receiving this pass from Marcus Mariota to win the game. Boy, what a battle that was. Oregon State's tough. Never count them out. Never count out Mike Riley and what his coaching staff can do.
Well, again, Mike Riley's won a lot, but you had a feeling that meant a ton to him last Saturday. Of course, it was a painful loss for ASU. As we got to give Colorado credit, Jordan Murphy, in a day when nothing much has happened great for Colorado, Jordan Murphy did a great job of covering that punt and eventually making the tackle of Jonathan Lloyd. And Colorado, by the way, today, their men won their second consecutive cross-country national championship. That was held earlier today in Terre Haute, Indiana. The Oregon men finished 6th, but Colorado's men winning a national championship, and the Pac-12 count now, it's closing in on 500 national championships won by Pac-12 schools. So congratulations to the Colorado men's cross-country team.
Yes, indeed. And cross-country, file that under sports I will never participate in.
You know, I've tried too.
Not me.
I'm trying. If I work with Parker long enough, I'm going to get him on the treadmill eventually. I know that.
Won't happen. The old NFL knees don't allow things like jogging and running.
All right, Jeff Locke in Oregon. And here's the wisely letting game time run. Lane Roseberry now in the game. Here he is shifting to Lockheed's right, getting a handoff. And let's check in back on the sideline with Jill.
Ted, yesterday when we had a chance to talk with Mark Helfrich about Marcus Mariota and what he's meant to this program, he said, of course, he's such a great guy. And oh, by the way, he just might be the best player in school history. He said if he was the fifth string punter, you'd still love him the same way. He said the most impressive thing about Marcus Mariota is not what he does on the field. It's in his daily life, how he interacts with people, how genuine he is, and how much he appreciates what this community has done for him and how they've rallied around this team.
Well, that was very evident today. You just felt it all day long as Lockheed keeps the ball. It looks like, well, he's going to be marked down a little short of a first. But we've seen this the last few years, Glenn, coming back. We've been here for spring games the last couple of years, and you see the number of former Ducks, and it's recent vintage, but the number that come back.
That's a sign of the success of a program.
That's what you sense, what's taken place here over the last 15 or so years and how it is building that pride.
Right, a pride in the alumni, pride in the football alumni specifically, but you said, and former players who come back and live within the community is always another big part of that as well. You see that.
Yeah. Well, that we credit Voodoo Donut for that.
Well, no doubt about it. The Oreo Supreme thing that Mariota loves.
Yeah. If they could just find a way to put mustard on a donut at Voodoo, I would be ecstatic. Dr. Pepper post-game report coming up. Mike Yam and company at our studio will recap the day, get you set for Oregon State, Washington tonight. And again, another incredible rushing day for a freshman at Oklahoma.
Incredible. Now, see, I like that maple bacon bar, but that one that had those little nubs of chocolate on it, those were the ones I thought looked good.
We have an Oregon journalism student, Monica, who is working with us, of course, on our games every week. We have students from the schools that work with us, and Monica was big on the maple bacon bar today.
Hey, there's Voodoo Donuts.
Yeah.
This was break down one of their favorite plays. Matter of fact, the play action pass they scored off of twice came off of this run. This was the play action they used. See, and you notice I put the nutty donuts as defensive tackles because they're all a little nutty.
Which was the one that Mariota likes?
He likes that big Oreo giant thing.
Okay. And here in the closing seconds, an outside run there. That is Aiel Ford. Let me take two on that. Yele Ford. Let me make sure I pronounce Mr. Ford's name properly, at least try to. And now Mark Helfrich coming across to meet Mike McIntyre. Oregon doing a very sportsman-like job there of just running the fourth quarter out without any further damage. And Marcus Mariota's farewell to Autzen Stadium, barring a complete shot, was a raging success. 323 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 73 yards rushing, and a touchdown. And a thoroughly dominant Oregon victory. And Glenn, as we started the day, we said this was not about the conference today. This was about the national picture for Oregon and for Marcus Mariota.
Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished on both counts. They took care of an opponent that scored a lot of points against a lot of teams. They didn't allow it. And Marcus Mariota was efficient with big numbers and accurate. Just what they needed on both counts.
Civil War in Corvallis next Saturday. Levi's Stadium. Opponent to be determined on December 5. That's the next 2 dates for the Ducks, and they certainly hope that will lead to a spot in the first college football playoff. New Year's Day. One final prayer of thanks for the Oregon players. Let's hear from Mark Helfrich now with Jill.
Thank you, Ted. Coach Helfrich, Marcus Mariota, 32 touchdowns, 2 interceptions this season. What kind of a season is that for him? I mean, you look at the numbers and it's almost unbelievable.
I didn't even know those numbers, to be honest with you, but yeah, Marcus is special. Ran out with the thesaurus a long time ago on how to describe that guy, but a total team win today. Didn't play as well as we should have in the second half, but closing it out as well as possible and get ready for the next one.
Here on Senior Day, you had a lot of true freshmen stepping up as well, not only today but this season. What have they meant for the program?
Yeah, a ton. We have a bunch of young guys. We're a very young team. We're not allowed to talk about that, and we've had a bunch of guys battling that we didn't expect to play, and really proud of that fact and just how hard we played. Didn't play cleanly enough, and a lot of that's on me.
One more game to go. What's the preparation going to be like this week for the Civil War?
It'll be the same. We'll hopefully have a healthy, rest of our weekend and start pointing towards Oregon State on Sunday. We know how talented they are and how tough they've been playing lately, and we'll get ready for them.
Congratulations.
All right, thanks.
Ted, back up to you.
So indeed it is a Ducks day, exactly what they would have wanted for this final home game at Autzen Stadium, but far from their final game of a season that has them at 2 in the country and still reaching for that dream that's eluded them, a shot at a national championship. Well, for Glenn Parker, Jill Savage, our Pac-12 Network's crew, Ted Robinson, thank you for joining us in Eugene. The Dr. Pepper postgame report follows the break.